Every day got shorter for a start. Like the hours of the day was less every day.
And just in one session, you went off alcohol completely and you've never gone back?
I didn't know if there was a continuation of my existence, to be honest. It was pretty hardcore.
Hi, this is Peter Sage, and I'm in the studio today with an amazing gentleman that's got an amazing story. And I really want you to listen to this from a place of hope and inspiration, because this is an example of what new mindset hypnotherapy can actually accomplish in such a short amount of time. And it's a pleasure to be here with Brian. And Brian, if we just go back not too long ago, probably about a year and a half, somewhere around there?
Yeah, it is almost exactly a year and a half, I think, yeah.
Year and a half. You had a bit of an issue with alcohol, I believe.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell us a little bit what life was like.
That wasn't a short-term issue, it was quite a long-term issue that had been going on for some time. But I work in construction, and it always seemed like normal in construction. Friday, Saturday, Sundays, you finish early on a Friday, you go to alcohol. Saturday, the boys out alcohol. And that just tends to be it. And it comes into you in the workplace as a thing. And when I was in that workplace from 16, it just was normal all of my life, including with my family and stuff. And then it just spiraled. But it felt comfortable, and I could make the excuses to justify it for years, until it got too far. And then the excuses weren't enough anymore, but I couldn't not do it anymore. So the excuse didn't justify it, but I couldn't stop it.
So now you're into an addiction,
exactly,
rather than a habit.
I'm stuck. So yeah, that's where it was, and it was just desperation, and I could not find a way out.
And this was having impacts on all areas of life, health, relationships.
Well, it was getting bad generally, but I could manage it and I could cope, and it was fine. And then it just dipped, and that was it, and I could not get back out. And that was when it really started damaging things. And it damaged even just every day got shorter for a start. Like the hours of the day was less every day. So everything was affected negatively. I can try and pretend it was just a lot of things or a few things, but it was almost certainly everything was negatively affected by shorter days, just clouded mind, mentality, everything really. Nothing was 100%.
And what we tend to see, especially around alcohol, is that, as you say, you can start justifying and normalizing it because the environment supports it. And so many people think, oh, it's Friday night, of course I go out and get drunk. And then it becomes Saturday, and then you grow up in an environment, and as we say, environment beats will over time, every time. And then you're on a slippery slope of escalation, and it becomes a go-to. If you get more stressed, you go to your go-to harder. And then all of a sudden, as you say, you find yourself so deep in the hole, you can't reach the top. And that's when it's like, uh-oh, what do I do now? And have you tried other things?
I tried all of the books, every one of the books, and they did resonate with us, but they don't make you just stop. They tell you what your problems are, and you say, I can associate with all of those, and I can see all of this, and it all makes sense to me, but I can't just stop still. You might be able to stop for a day or two, but the books alone, the Alan Carr books and all the other books, they do work, but they don't last. I couldn't find they last, because while I was somehow like 2 weeks later, a week later, out and about, somebody saying, do you want to go for a drink? Well then yeah, let's go for
Environment beats well.
Exactly.
And one of the challenges with that, and this is something important for people to understand, is that the front part of your brain, which is responsible for critical thinking, knows what to do. Most people know what to do, they just don't do what they know. And when it comes to habits, it's not actually controlled by the front part of the brain, it's controlled by the midbrain or the limbic brain, which really is where you go under stress. And so you can read something that makes intellectual sense and say, oh, wow, yeah, I get that. I resonate with that. And here's a technique. But under stress, it's so easy to go back unless you have some level of intervention that can talk to the mid part of the brain and reprogram it. And that's when you came across hypnotherapy, and I believe
I avoided hypnotherapy, actually, because one of the books specifically said hypnotherapy will not resolve this problem. It specifically states that hypnotherapy alone will not resolve this problem. So I dismissed that slightly, I didn't really understand what it was. But then as I ran out of other options, that's when I reached out to Jamie.
And you came across Jamie, and you essentially had, was it one session?
Yes, we had one brief video call for a very short period of time, and then went to see him, and that was it.
And just in one session, you went off alcohol completely, and you've never gone back?
No, not once.
That was a year and a half ago?
Yes, not even.
Right. And there was no craving, it was just a shift in the mindset based on that session?
It was as if it had never existed.
Wow.
Which It sounds like mumbo jumbo to me, but it was as if it never existed.
Fantastic.
So it is very strange.
Outstanding. And what's life been like since then?
It's a different life now. I mean, I've thought about this before. I would say, whether it's causation or correlation, without a shadow of a doubt, my earnings has gone up. As I am now never drunk, etc. My annual earnings have increased. That's a fact. Physically better, mentally better. My life, instead of Friday, Saturday being alcohol related, I might be doing mountain runs or other physical activities, really, or anything. I'm never hungover on a Saturday morning. Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, these are enjoyable times now rather than dead time. So again, yeah, the longer days, more things you can do, more it creates opportunities. So
understood. And this is one thing about being able to resolve addictions through hypnotherapy. Again, there's none of this like struggle and effort or trying to force your way past previous behaviors. There was just a shift. And what that does, it has a cascading effect on virtually all other areas of life. You now become worth more in the marketplace, hence income goes up. You become more reliable. But more than that, you start to enjoy a life that you deserve rather than one you settle for. And that's having impacts on health, on relationships, on, as you say, new opportunities. And so many people don't realize they're missing out on that just by trading off what is an addiction.
Yeah. People say to me, oh, I don't know how you can do that. It's like, well, you could do it. You're stopping yourself. You're prohibiting yourself. So, yeah. Definitely.
So what would you say to somebody who's been considering hypnotherapy, but again, may have either not known somebody that it's worked for or has read a book that says don't try, or basically just not quite sure what to expect?
This is the me I should have been originally. Wow. Does that make sense?
You can't really put a price on that.
No.
And for relatively, as I say, almost small amount of money, it's a challenge, because I'm a great believer if people don't pay much, they don't pay much attention.
Yeah.
But that usually relates to the front part of the brain.
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with the midbrain, where you can unhook and unravel all of the patterns that most people struggle with that front part and get that handled in a session, in your case, that solves almost a lifetime addiction or a habit that became an addiction that was destroying you, where do you think you'd be now a year and a half later had you not done this?
To be honest, I was very much at the bottom, so I didn't know if there was a continuation of my existence, to be honest. It was pretty hardcore. Things like hospital visits with blood pressure machine, alarms going off, like it was.
So it really was almost life and death.
Yeah, it was. There wasn't many options left after this, to be honest. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I go a great believer. People do things for two reasons, either inspiration or desperation.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you come for desperation, you surrender and say, hey, this is it. It's all I got. And that stops a lot of the initial resistance as well. If you've got habits and you want to stop them before they become an addiction, or if you're at the end of your tether and it's time to let go and try something that you feel would allow you to reprogram part of the brain you've not been able to do consciously, then New Mindset Hypnotherapy has hundreds and hundreds of case studies just like Brian, who came here, used what you're going to find on the audios, and essentially stepped through a door to a completely different life. So, Brian, I just want to say thank you for coming in the studio today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being authentic. And thank you for giving hope to a lot of people that probably don't know where else to turn.
Thanks.
Outstanding.
Cheers.